for each.
All right, my name is Travis Erickson. I'm from the Iron Mind Gym, and we're all set to kind of get you guys started and get you some information on how to beat the bully. So we're looking at how you can use a couple different exercises we're going to look at today. We're looking at dumbbell cobra and the dumbbell arc row and how those two lifts can be used in order to maximize the use of external rotators and minimize the use of trapezius, rhomboids, and also latissimus dorsi. So we're specifically looking at the infraspinatus, teres mater, and try to isolate those two muscles as much as we can and try to get those things working because they're small muscles and oftentimes get overwhelmed by the bigger muscles that we have to kind of be involved with. So I've got the Forge here to help me out today. They're going to help us demonstrate some of these different lifts for us, and I'm sure they've perhaps never seen these exercises before, so we'll have to kind of give them a little bit of instruction on this kind of thing as well. So Achilles, why don't you come forward, we'll get you started. And I'm just going to set you up, so we're going to have you facing this way. Okay. And I'm going to have you set up as if you're going to do a bent over barbell row, or I'm sorry, bent over dumbbell row rather. Okay. Okay, and then we're going to give him just a light weight. In fact, Seth, why don't you grab me a 5 and a 10-pound plate, if you will. So with this lift, you don't need to use a lot of weight because you're talking about pretty small muscles, and the more weight you use, the more likely you are to engage those larger muscle groups that want to kind of take over and do the work for you. So we're going to start him with a really light weight. Just going to have a little 5-pound weight to start with here. And we're going to have you just your hand like that. And what we're going to have you do is set up like you're going to do a bent over row here. And what we're looking for is flat back, flat. And when he brings his arm up as if we're going to do a normal row, instead we're going to have his elbow out here and have him bring up his arm like this. So what we're looking for is looking at about a 90-degree angle between his upper arm and his torso here. And at this position, then when his arm gets parallel with the ground, he's going to rotate, externally rotate, just like that. Okay? And then bring it back to here, and then bring it back down as well. So I want you to do a few reps with that, and I can talk about this lift. So what we're looking for here, he's doing a good job here. We're looking at his left arm right now. Back is flat. Arm is getting parallel to the ground. Good rotation here. What you're looking for on this lift is looking to see, can he maintain this 90-degree angle between his upper arm and his back? Because what you'll sometimes see, we might see it on his right arm, or maybe from our other participants over here, is that you'll see him start to retract a little bit, which means he's engaging those rhomboids, engaging that trapezius a little bit. This looks really good though. It's good external rotation. He's showing pretty good flexibility too with the external rotation as well. Why don't you switch arms here and do your right arm and see what happens. Pretty good. We're not seeing a lot of shoulder dysfunction here. His flexibility appears to be good. Appears to be recruiting things. It looks a little bit funky on this side from where I'm standing. You can see a little bit of motion. This elbow's kind of cocking back just a little bit as he goes to externally rotate, which could be due to inflexibility or just due to the fact that he wants to use those bigger muscles and not allow his smaller muscles to work here. John, why don't you come up here? We'll have you get a shot here too. John had indicated that he had played some baseball. The baseball player in other words. Start with your left arm first, because that may be the one that works correctly. Yeah. You're right-handed, correct? Yeah. Okay. All right. So a little bit less flexibility you can see than Achilles had, right? Flat back, bring it up. Keep this elbow out here, like that. There you go. Now bring it back down. So this lift will take a little bit of cueing because it's not a natural motion. You're putting them in a contrived kind of position when you're doing this kind of motion. You can see he's a little bit less fluid than Achilles. There's a little bit less flexibility in his shoulder area, perhaps due to other injuries or just due to musculature in his chest, for example. Let's try the left arm, try the right arm and see how it looks. I've seen some real problems on this side. You can see back here, that's uncomfortable, isn't it? Yeah. You can say this does not look comfortable for him. And so this is why we have to look at really using a real light weight and kind of cueing him. Oftentimes, if you've got someone like this, you might have him drop the weight, so just go ahead and let that weight go, and just do it without any weight at all. And we can kind of manually guide him through the motion. That's better. Because now we're seeing a little bit more motion. We're seeing this, because what you'll see, you can't really see it from where you guys are as much, but what's happening when he has that weight in his hand is he's cocking his arm back, which is engaging all the muscles back through here, which we don't really want to have happen. We want to just kind of have these muscles working through the top part of his shoulder and have only those two working for us. So that's a dumbbell cobra. And the two takeaway messages I would say for you is you don't need a lot of weight. And it's not a lift you're trying to do large amounts of resistance with. You're just trying to look at the movement more than anything else. It's really important on this one that if you're trying to work those smaller muscles, you've got to allow them to work. And if you have heavier weight, you're just not going to allow them to kind of do anything for you. Okay? Why don't we have Ryan come up here and we have him do our dumbbell arc row. And so we can use a little heavier weight. Go ahead and grab that 10-pound weight. Same thing, set up as if you're going to do a bent over row for us. We'll start with your left arm first again. Now with this one, what he's going to do is he's going to take that plate. He's going to bring it up to the side. He's just going to put it in his back pocket.
It's the same motion, but going
Same motion. He's going to put it in his back pocket.
here.
Yeah.
That.
There you go. You can go ahead and make it be one fluid motion if you want to. Just go ahead and pull it and put it back, just like that. So we're not externally rotating on this one, but now we're kind of starting to work a little bit multi-planar motion for him. And what you'll see on this one, and he's doing a pretty good job for us, is that if he has pretty poor flexibility in that back part of his shoulder where his anterior delt is really inflexible, you'll see him start to twist his whole body. And he's doing a good job keeping his chest nice and flat towards the ground for us, so you can put it right back in that back pocket. Yeah, a little harder for him. But we're starting to see a little bit of activation now through some smaller muscles around his scapula. Try your right arm and see how it feels. There you go. Pretty good, not too bad. Now, if you do have a client or an individual that you're working with that is wanting to really open that chest up as they come around with it, simply lay them down on a stability ball, for example, or hang them off a glued ham, and have them do 2 arms at the same time. Because now you can't. So you do both arms at the same time. Rotating no longer helps you at that point in time. For guys that have some shoulder issues a lot of times the first time when you do this, you'll feel some popping and cracking along your shoulder. It actually feels pretty good. It loosens you up quite a bit. Let's have our last person go. Let's have Colton come on over here and give it a shot. See how it feels for him. This one you can go a little heavier with. We're not externally rotating this one, so you might be able to work up to say 15, 20, 25 pounds on this one. But again, what you're looking for is trying to get that arm across your back without opening that chest too much. So lead out with that elbow. Okay. Lead that elbow out away from your body a little bit more and bring it back. There you go. That's pretty good. How does it feel back there? Not bad. Yeah. This lift feels good, especially if you've been doing a lot of heavy chest exercises. This really helps open that chest up, open that back up. Try your other arm and see how it feels. And like I said, it's a different experience when you do both arms at the same time. If you kind of either just if you support your chest on something, and then have yourself go ahead and do both arms at the same time. It's that scapula working, doesn't it? Where do you feel it? Collarbone. Okay. Got all sorts of stuff going on for you. It's a strange motion, you know, and it's not an activity you normally would do. And again, it's not a lift you're trying to muscle and do tons of weight with. It's a finesse kind of lift more than anything else. I look at both this lift and the cobra that we've done as both being exercises you do more on a back day, okay? Because you're kind of working external rotation, you're kind of pulling muscles more than anything else. Any questions that I can answer for anybody on this stuff? From our participants or from anyone watching?
Do you think this is could be a good lift, or both of these lifts would be good for rehabilitation of like your shoulder or maybe your back?
It probably depends where you are in that rehab process a little bit.
Right.
I mean, because the difficulty you run into is you run into some real flexibility issues with a lot of people. If they've just kind of come off an injury, they're just not going to be able to move in that position
It's a little more advanced.
real well for them. Yeah.
Okay.
So it might just be easier to do like the regular TheraBand kind of external rotation where you can control things a little bit more with somebody. Other questions from anybody else? How many people have seen these lifts before? Just a couple. Yeah, they're unusual, right? And they're not the lifts you normally. They do kind of come from more of a rehab kind of area a little bit. But I think all guys, especially, that do lots of pressing things, we all need rehab, whether we know it or not. And kind of working those muscles that just don't get used quite a bit. Because the issue we run into is that oftentimes when lifters are working their back, all they're doing is seated rows, working lat pull-downs. They're never working any kind of rotation in that back shoulder musculature. And it's nice to incorporate these kinds of things. They're good finishers at the end of a workout because they just help kind of relax everything back there for you. Kind of get things activating correctly for you. Because we run into issues where just neuromuscular patterns aren't firing correctly. And these guys were pretty good. And if you go and try this out on your own and you watch other people do it, you'll see that they just literally cannot externally rotate without kind of adducting their scapula. They just physically cannot do it because they just cannot separate those two actions from one another. And so these guys are pretty good, but you might run into some people yourself that it just looks like a mess. And a lot of times it's that dominant arm, it's that right arm if you're right-handed that doesn't work correctly. There's just too much musculature and just the firing patterns just don't work correctly at that point. Okay? All right, well I want to make room for our second groups to go. I'll let you guys get set up. I'll set our camera down and get it set up for you so you guys can go ahead and get set up what you need.